Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I have a new layout for the Hip Kit Club and I'm using the 2016 August kits again. For this page, I'm going to start with my pictures. I have two black and white pictures here of my husband throwing our two daughters up in the air and turning them all upside down, things that they love to do. So I love to get pictures of those fun, everyday, silly and happy moments. And all I know at this point is that I'm starting with white cardstock and I'm going to use the Prima oil pastels for the color kit. So I took some time and let that dry, and then I decided that I wanted something in the background, a shape of some sort that I could color in. And so I decided to go with hearts. And I had these left over from another layout that I did recently, and these were cut on my Cameo, and I actually used the outlines of these hearts for my other page, and so I kept the middle of the hearts and thought, hey, I can use those for stencils. So I just traced around them with a pencil, and I'm going to make sure that all the hearts are filled in with some clear gesso, because I'm going to use those pastels to shade in and do a little bit of coloring. Now if you've got these kits, then you know there is a lot of the new Amy Tangerine, a lot of the new Dear Lizzy, and a lot of the new Crate Paper Cute Girl. And the Amy Tangerine is a totally different color scheme than the Crate Paper. So I kind of had to pick and choose. Did I want to go with the reds and gold yellows and periwinkle blue, or did I want to go with what I usually use, which is teal, pink, and yellow? And I went with the Cute Girl theme because I wanted to use some of those puffy stickers. Honestly, I hadn't used a lot of those yet. And since my theme for today is clever with color, I wanted to do a light background with lots of bold color and then come in with the black and white pictures and a lot of black accents to sort of contrast the colors. So all I'm doing here is using the yellows, pinks, and then I'm going to use some teals here in a minute and some greens of the pastels, and just doing a little bit of scribbling. I did this on my second layout when I made the big title that said adventure. I did the same concept here where I just took the pastel, did a little scribble, and then used my water brush to kind of smudge the color. This is super easy, and it does not take a lot of the pastels to create this color. As you can see here, I'm just doing a little scribble around the edge and then using my water brush and a little bit of water to kind of smudge it around. And I'm also using a napkin to kind of do a little bit of dabbing and then pulling some of the color into the middle area of the hearts. And I'm just using, you know, pink and yellow on one and green and teal on the other. And what I'm going to wind up doing is covering up a lot of the hearts, because after I get them colored, I get a new idea, which we'll talk about when I get there. But this is really fun, and this is something easy that you can do. And I know I've addressed this in several of my videos when it comes to gesso. You know, gesso is not necessary. You don't have to have it. But do you see how easily blendable, is that a word? How easily I'm able to blend these pastels. As soon as the water hits, it just naturally wants to bleed and blend. So if you did not use gesso, it would still blend a little bit, but you're going to get a little bit of paper tearing, and it's going to start to ball up, and you're eventually probably going to get a hole in it, and it's going to warp a lot more. So I highly recommend the gesso if you're going to be doing this, especially on regular cardstock. It might be different on watercolor paper, but I never use watercolor paper. So the idea that I got after I shaded in the hearts was to get out my little tiny hole punches and fill in the hearts with a bunch of different color circles, kind of like confetti, but controlled confetti, because it's all going to be inside the hearts. And so I went for this Crate Paper sheet. It's the Cute Girl, and I'd already used bits and pieces of it. And so I just took my, I can't even remember what size, half an inch, and then a smaller one. I don't even know what the size of that little circle punch is, but I found it at Hobby Lobby and I had to get it because it was so cute. And I'm just punching out circles in pink, yellow, teal, black and white. And this did take me a little bit of time, but I didn't show you the whole entire punching and filling in process because it gets monotonous after a while. But I went through the papers and punched out, you know, bright colors. I wanted the colors in the circles to match the colors of the pastels. And then when I got most of that filled in, I wanted to go smaller. So I grabbed the enamel dots, and those are from the My Mind's Eye collection. I believe it's, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Hooray or Hip Hip Hooray. I think it's just Hooray. And the colors match the Cute Girl collection really nicely. And I'm just using the teals, the light pinks, the dark pinks, and the yellows, and just randomly filling in where there are some open spots. And you can still see all of the pastel work that I did. So the circles aren't going to completely cover it up. This was a little time consuming as well, but you know, not a big deal. I did add a little dot of glue behind each one and make sure that they were all glued down. And I try not to put a lot where I think my photos were going to go. Once all of the glue dried, I very, very carefully and slowly went to my sewing machine and stitched around the edges of all the hearts with black thread. And I love how that just pops off the page. And again, I think that something simple like that can really enhance the color and make things pop. So I've got my pictures, and I'm going to stack them on top of each other. And I've got the one of my youngest daughter up top because my husband's holding her up in the air and she's looking down. And then in the bottom photo, it's my older daughter, and he's got her tilted backward and her face is looking up. So that's why I placed them like that. So it looks like they're looking down and up to each other. And I'm just going through and cutting up the rest of that crate paper that I punched the circles out of, and I'm just cutting them smaller and using them as layering pieces behind my pictures, because I printed these pictures pretty small, and so it was easy to find bits and pieces to layer behind them. And they're just the same colors of everything else that I've already used. And already you can see how the black and white is popping against the colors. And that's another reason why I use black and white pictures so much. Now, you know, if the picture is in color and it's coordinating with everything, then by all means use a color photo. But in these pictures, you know, the one at the top was kind of blurry because the movement was so fast and it was inside, and I had not learned to shoot in manual mode yet, so I was still on auto, and so her face is kind of blurry and you can't really tell from here. And we have a lot of wood in our house, so it was kind of like this weird brownish color, and then she's wearing a pink shirt, and so it just too many clashy colors. So printing it in black and white takes the guesswork out of, you know, how am I going to match these pictures, especially when they're two different pictures and two random, you know, they're two different color schemes. So the black and white takes all that out. So I do wind up using this scallop piece that I cut out, just not yet and not where I thought I was going to use it. I was going to try to divide the two pictures up with the scallop, but it just sort of took away from it and covered up some of the layering pieces. So I put that aside for now, and then I'm going to come in and use some thread. Surprise, surprise. And these are all just coordinating colors. I've got pink, teal, and yellow. And I'm just going to add a couple of bits underneath the pictures. And again, this just adds some fun texture, some fun color, gives it a little bit of a messy look. And it just adds interest to it. I still don't know why I like the thread. I know I've said that before. I just like it. Now I add the yellow down there at the bottom, but then I realize it's too much yellow because I've got a yellow layering piece underneath that picture there. So I move the yellow over and then come back in with the pink. And I think that was a better choice for below that picture there. So that's all glued down, and now I've got that puffy sticker that says love, and I'm going to use scallops, one that I cut, and then I cut another one. I'm going to use that at the top and the bottom just to give it a little something there. And then I'm going to come in with these Dear Lizzie stickers, and I'm going to use the one that says baby, it's a wild ride. And of course this is not a ride or anything like that in the picture, but our life is like a roller coaster ride. Our girls are fun and hilarious, and they always want to play and be silly, and I just thought that phrase went well with these pictures and with, you know, just the way my kids are. And I cut it so each word was by itself, and I just decided, hey, I'm going to kind of loop it around that heart. And if you've got this in your kit, then you know there are 2 sheets of each one, and so I got this phrase twice. So I'm going to cut it up again and use it down here underneath this lower left heart. Even though it says the same thing, I think it kind of mimics the top part, and I like how that looks. And this is a cool idea to show that you can, you know, cut stickers up. You know, you don't have to use them in the shape that they come. You can cut them up and make them work how you want them to. So I'm going to make sure I get all that stuck down. And I love these clear stickers, especially the black ones, because you can use them on anything and they're going to look great. You know, it looks like you drew it yourself, or it looks like you printed off on your computer in a cool font. Off camera, I did some stitching in pink and yellow. I'm going to ruffle up the edges of those little scallops just to give it a little more interest. And then to finish off the, I don't know, I felt like after the word ride, it needed a little something to finish around that heart. So I'm just taking my black pen and making some little black dots to finish off around those 2 hearts. And I thought about doing it around all the hearts, but I didn't. And they already all have that black outline from the stitching, so I thought it was fine. I'm going to add a couple of little stickers from the puffy sticker sheet, some hearts. And then I decided, you know, well, before I decided, I was thinking, what else can I use for my title? And then I saw another one of those black clear stickers, and it says, A Life Filled with Magic. And I thought that would be a cool title, Love a Life Filled with Magic. And it was small, and I didn't want to add any of the other bigger thickers since love was so big, and I didn't want to cover up any more of those circles, so I thought I'll just use that clear sticker, and I thought that was cute. And then I draw a couple of lines down here above the bottom scallop and just do a few lines of journaling. And it's almost going to wrap it up. I do add some black splatters from my shimmers, and this is from my stash. It's called Night Moves, and it's what I would call your standard black ink. And then I do add the date stamp, and that is going to wrap it up. This was a really fun layout to make. You know, I did not use my Cameo, I guess you could say. And think of things that you could trace. You know, if you don't have a Cameo, all I did was trace these hearts. You could cut hearts out, you know, by hand and use those for stencils. So there's my finished product. I really love how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know if you have any questions about the hip kits or any of the products or any of the techniques or anything like that. And make sure you check out hipkitclub.net for the September kits if you haven't seen those yet. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.